Good evening and welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, it says it right down there. I hope you've had a really good week. I've not had a productive week. Slap on the wrists for me. I really wanted to get a lot of stuff done this week, but I didn't. So I've had a couple of days off, didn't do anything yesterday. Went and enjoyed myself, had a bit of fun. Today, however, I've been sat in the studio almost all day trying to crack on with some bits and pieces. I want this to be the last week to be doing the things I've been doing for the last few weeks. So if you've been along and watched the last couple of episodes, you know that I've been painting some Tyranids from Games Workshop. And you'll know that I've been painting some little 15mm tanks from various different games, different companies, etc. I can see that we've got Jeff Lacey already in the comments. Oi oi, nice to see you, thanks for coming along. Yeah, I've got a tiny little bit of delay on my screen, and I'm hoping that that's not going to affect the viewing experience too much. You will have known over the last few weeks that I've had some serious internet issues. I think as of last week that they may have been resolved. There's Luke in the comments. Hi Luke. More from Luke in just a minute. Yeah, last week we got through the whole show without any hitches technically whatsoever. Really happy about that. It could have been the new router that I've got, or it could have just been lucky happen chance. As a reminder, if that happens, it's not a massive deal really. If you want to carry on with the show, it's really unprofessional from my point of view, so I will apologize if the feed just cuts right out. That is the joy and wonder of a live stream. There's very little I can do about it until my internet gets better, which is an ongoing process. Hopefully the router has saved that. I've noticed that we've got Crystal Dean coming into the channel there saying oof. Hi, welcome, thanks for coming along. New names, like to see that new people. Wonderful. So yeah, if it does just cut out, often it's like halfway through the show or towards the end, I will go straight to YouTube and I will start another live video. So if it starts happening, if it all starts going wrong, yeah, if you still want to be involved in the online painting club experience, then just head straight on over there and see where the new video is. If you are new here, like some people may be joining us here in the comments, this isn't a tutorial channel. This is just an online painting club. It's live, so that if you're doing work, you know that there are people out there doing stuff at the same time as you. They could be having a really good time, they could be having a really tough time, and they've come along for some motivation or for some get some experience from you guys out there talking in the chat. I'm by no means a professional painter, broadcaster, or anything like that. I am trying to push myself and learn all the time, and I've picked up loads of tips, loads of hints from you guys out there, so thanks very much. Head on over to Facebook, to I can't point at it on the screen, I never get it right, to Facebook, to Instagram, we're on YouTube. Curses, which side? This side here. Yeah, and we're also on Discord as well. Maybe head on over to any one of those platforms, hit the like button, hit the follow button, and if you're so inclined and you like what we do, then perhaps you would feel free to subscribe at the same time. That would be wonderful, because subscribing really helps me, us, you out to make this even better. So we've got some people coming in. We got Adrian Dean. Good evening, peeps. Hi, thanks for coming along. I've got some interesting little pop-ups that just appeared on my screen, and they've gone. They were in the way. We've got Crystal Dean says, flower, hit, flower, lovely. Thank you very much. Darren Venomous, evening. Wow, look at you guys all coming along. Thank you very much for coming along. It's nice to see all those names again. Wonderful. Anyway, this week, it's not going to just be me. I have up to some episodes ago, usually have Kyle with me, my co-host, but he is hard at work. For those of you that don't know Kyle or know about him, Kyle has been laden with work lately, so much so that he's just had to call off being a co-host until the summer, so it's just been me for the last 4, maybe 5 weeks. It's lonely, but I like being here in the studio talking to you guys. However, it's not just me this week, for we have a guest. We sometimes have guests. I say sometimes, we've had one before somewhere in the last 6 months, and that was Adrian. And today I have Luke with me. Luke is on screen, and we can all hear you, we can all see you. Thanks ever so much for opting to come along and keep me company and just be another voice to have a conversation with us. It's lovely to have you on here. So, welcome to the show, mate.
Hello. If I look this way, it's because screens.
Yeah. I've watched playbacks of my own video, my eyes like dart around because I'm looking at different things on the screen. I've got my paintwork down here, but there's so much going on up here that you guys can't see, which is, I suppose, the magic of TV. So Luke, for those of you that don't know, Luke is Luke Gallia in the live chat there. So if you can see his comment going in, that is Luke. Luke, you are actually a relative of Kyle, the co-host. Yeah, you are his brother. So that's how you got involved, obviously. But your input into the Easy 8 community hasn't stopped with just being Kyle's brother and coming along every week. You've actually, I say helped design, you have solely built the Discord server for us. So while you're on air, thank you so much for all of that hard work that you have put into it. I've barely been on it this week, but I've been on it all day, and we've obviously been chatting away there all day while we've been doing some painting or whatever. So thank you very much for that, and you guys should come along and see where he's got going. It says here, Luke's a tad on the quiet side. I can boost his volume a little bit. Oh, here we go. But you might experience a little bit of music echo in the background. So apologies if you can't hear Luke very well. You should be able to hear him. I've boosted your sound a little bit more. Let's see what happens. Do let us know if there is any drop in the quality, audio, video, anything like that. It's been a while since I've had someone on, so I don't know what buttons to push anymore. How do you do this live thing? It's crazy.
Just hit the big red button.
Just hit the big red button. yeah, no. The big red button says on my screen, end stream. I won't do that. I won't do that tonight. So we would love to know what you're painting this evening. Obviously, that's what this is all about. It's a live stream painting club. So if you have come along just for the giggles of it, then that's great. But if you are painting something this evening, let us know. Drop it into the live chat over there. Would love to know what you're painting, and if you need any help or any motivation, give us a shout, because I certainly get my worth coming here and getting you guys to tell me what's happening. What are you doing this evening, Luke?
I am painting up a Sister of Battle. Let's see.
I hate to break it to you.
Well.
I hate to break it to you, fella. She has no head.
That is because I painted it 2 days ago.
Just the head.
Yeah.
Because they don't often wear helmets. They do wear helmets a lot. Or you've decided to not paint it with a helmet.
The smart ones wear helmets, but this one I wanted to look a bit better. So
fair enough.
Did the hair properly? Did like a blonde hair? Well, I'm painting it in the bloody rose colours.
I don't know anything about the Sisters of Battle, so all the different orders, which are essentially the different army flavours, aren't they? I don't know anything about them. So what did you say this one was?
The Bloody Roses.
The Bloody Roses.
Think Blood Angels, but take away the vampirism.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because who needs vampires next door? Yeah, no one wants that, which is fair. Yeah. So, do they have like the rage issue? Do they lose their wits?
They're more just frantic zealots. They're the frantic zealots of the frantic zealots.
Right. Okay. When you need to go that little bit further, when you need to go to 11. Go to the Bloody Roses. Got you.
Frantic Zealot plus. There you go.
Darren says big red button plus or equals boom. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, don't. I will not touch the big red button today. Whew. Cool. Hopefully, while you guys are listening there, you might be able to hear Luke a little bit more. Again, do let us know. Just stay involved throughout the show. There are things that I can do, I think. I hope. You're almost at maximum volume. Or just turn your volume up. Throw that one out there. Not you, Luke. I mean, the viewers, obviously the viewers. This evening, like I have been for the last couple of weeks now, I'm going to dedicate the first half of the show up to intermission, working on my Tyranids, and then afterwards I'm going to do a little bit more on my mini tanks. Like I said at the beginning, I think I've been doing this a little bit too long now. Keep things moving a little bit, keep the tempo going of the show. Next week, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I'll do something a bit different. I could go to my 135th Panther build. I haven't done anything on that for a while. Maybe I could do something different. If you were here last week, you'll know that I've decided to build a small Skitari. Excuse me, that'll be my dinner coming up. My small Skitari force. I bought the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, which I got for more just for. I feel like I needed to have a new book because I just like having books, man. But at the same time, yeah, we do. But it was at the same time, Adrian gave me that wonderful gift of the Armiger Warglaive. I think they're really, really funky looking, like, robot style design. I prefer them over the larger knights. I think they're a little bit too much in the shoulder and hunched over department. But the Armigers, I really like them. They kind of got that that more steampunky vibe, and I'm really into that. And of course, the Skitarii as a force itself is heavily themed on steampunk. So I thought, oh, maybe I could do like a small Skitarii force and have this one as like a big champion Lord of War thing, which as the army grows over time will just be more and more at home with that force. I haven't bought anything else to go with it. I've just been kind of looking through the book, just kind of getting an idea of the feel of it. They've moved away from having to have Adeptus Mechanicus or for short AdMech and having the Skitarii together yet. Like now you can have one or the other or both if you want to, which is great. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building the force as a roster, and I've never done that before. I normally just go straight for the models that I like, paint them up, and kind of try and make something out of them. But this time I'm going to go leader and a couple of little units, and that's it for now. And I'm just going to do them one at a time. And perhaps I'll do it as something on the show. Maybe I'll do like a community build. Perhaps we all want to build like a little small patrol force or something like that. That'd be kind of cool to get something out of it. But not until I've kind of learned everything I need to learn, done a little bit more on the models that I've got here to kind of at least semi-justify starting a new army. You know how it goes. Adrian says, sisters have a nice shiny new codex, my god, are a little jealous. And Jeff says, I'm sculpting the stonework on 2 French buildings. It's just not fun. Oh yeah, I think he's got the Adeptus Sororitas one. Yeah, I really like the new codexes. It's I feel justified in spending the amount of money on them. As where in the past you just seem to get like a very large bulk of stuff you already know if you're a fan of the lore, and then there's just like some rule stuff at the back with some artwork. I feel that at least in the Adeptus Mechanicus Codex, it's very new to me at least, that I was justified in paying the money for it. I got it a few pounds cheaper because I went to Just Play Games. They are a company based in Liverpool in the north of the UK. I spoke about them some episodes ago now. I keep their the links to their Facebook and to their website in the description of this video. If you're at least even slightly interested in finding out who they are, you should definitely go and check them out. They are a wonderful business and a wonderful company, and they stock so much stuff from so many companies, and they just seem to have some really competitive prices. Some really competitive ones, others just a little bit cheaper. So yeah, go and check them out. That's Just Play.
A couple pounds each time is always good.
Absolutely, and I also like to help support people who have spoken nicely to me. I've spoken to the guy on the phone, and he was really, really nice. So I like to be nice back and kind of, pitch people out. So let's have a little look at my workbench. I will take you over to the workbench. There we are. And then Luke, you got your own little screen and everything up there now. So here's some of the tanks that I've been doing. I've been playing with some camouflage colours on them, but we'll talk more about those later on. I've been working with the airbrush on there. The reason it was spitting so much last week is because there was actually quite a hideous blockage in there, but it was quite hard to find. So yeah, here is my Carnifex. I've done a little bit more work on her. Excuse me, I call her a her because the community have named her Brenda, the Sherbet Carnifex. Not entirely sure where the Sherbet bit came from, but I'm all up for funny names. Crystal Dean says, let's go! I'm not entirely sure where you're going, but maybe it was to the workbench. Yeah, why not? So, yeah, I'm starting to really, really like the work I've done on this. Last week I wasn't so sold on it because it's taken me a really, really long time to develop this this pattern on the back. And it sounds a bit weird, but the more I'm doing it, the more I'm not seeing it. Does that make sense? Like, it just feels like I'm not doing it enough justice. But I picked it up. Go on.
I imagine it's you are spending so much time on it. It's like, okay, here's every single minor detail. Yeah, I've just been looking at it for too long, I think. I've still yet to get myself a highlight colour for it. So I've got the base colour, which is Dawnstone Grey. I put like a nice shade of black ink applied with airbrush on the larger areas, by brush in the smaller areas, and it looks really ugly in those places, but I'll blend it in a bit. And the beauty with this, really, when I first started playing with this, I realised that it stays damp, I suppose is the right word. You can
move it around, you can re-agitate it or reactivate it within about 24 hours. So I applied this on earlier on when we were just before I had lunch, when we were talking earlier on Discord, and when I start to play around with this in a little bit, it will reactivate when I'm blending, and I can get some wet blending on the go, and that's when the magic really happens with it. It's actually still a little bit wet over here, so in a minute I'm going to get a little paintbrush and I'm just going to soak that up. So I started to blend in from the edges with Administratum Grey, but in the past I've realised that the contrast between those two greys is so great that it's a little it looks a little bit pop arty. So I've done a blend between the two so I can get that like halfway colour, and then I highlight the edges, and then maybe right at the end I'll get an even lighter grey, not a white but a lighter grey, and just pick out the edges just a little bit, just to make it look a little bit more brighter and a little bit more fun. Since earlier, I have also started colouring in a few other bits and pieces, because I don't like there to be blank bits like for too long on a model. So like in the big wristy bits are like the really big sort of muscly bits. They look a little too pinky, a little bit too reddish at the moment. So I might do a little bit of blending later and just kind of soften that red colour down, but leave it in the creases because I like that. I've done a lot of the details on some of the arms and legs. They kind of got these, I don't know what they are, like little muscle bits or whatever, exposed sinews and things. I quite like it. I like the colours that I've chosen for it, this pinky colour. It just kind of breaks down the monotony of yellow. And I've also painted the ends of the guns, because I, some time ago, actually sculpted very poorly, I see now, sculpted some sort of barrels on them to make them look a little bit more organic, to make them look a little bit like sphincters, I suppose, like you know, to make them look a little phallic but without going too close to the sexual edge. I didn't want it to be like that. I just wanted it to look like that it's an organic weapon, you know. And I suppose if you were to have a barrel on an organic weapon, it would be a bit of a sphincter, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, when it poops on you, it kills you. So yeah.
There's
I did
probably worse ways.
Probably, especially when you're facing these guys. I did try to use the shade or the wash. It is a Citadel shade. It is Carabao Crimson by Citadel. I did try to use it to kind of blend it a little bit into the yellows to make it look like, rather than just going yellow pink, to make it kind of have like a transition. I did not do a very good job on it. There is very little I can do about it now. But you know what? It doesn't look bad. It's all right. Done a little bit in the mouth in there, and with the Trigon I was doing a little while ago, I actually ended up doing the tongue a little bit more purple, and I also did like bone colours on the teeth, and that really looks good. If I bring the Trigon in over here, this is Susan the Trigon. Yeah, you can see the tongue in there. If I bring a light in a bit closer, yeah, it looks really good. Really happy with that. And then the bone colour is the same on the tail here. Yeah, really like it. So on the tail of the Trigon, you can see the pink sinewy colour here, and you can see it on the Carnifex. Perhaps because the Carnifex is surrounded by a little bit more grey, it looks a little bit different. So I'm just going to maybe do like a white, or like an off-white and crimson blend, and I'll just sort of soften down that very extreme reddish colour. But at the moment, it's still looking really cool. Liking it. So, but yeah, basically now I'm just going to start trying to blend in some of these black bits. I'd like to get the arms done, because last week I finished at least on one of the colour greys on the top of the carapace here, and on the head. And I think I've also done a pretty good job on the tail. And until I get my greys sorted out, like what colours I want, you know, what highlights I want there to be, and I don't think I'm going to go any further on the carapace at the moment. I do need to do the stacks on it, but as you can see, there are a few white bits on here where I've handled it a little bit too much, so I'm not going to do those until she's on a base. So yeah, I'm going to yeah. I'm just going to spend a bit of time getting the other bits and pieces done on her, and then I can move on. But I just want to get rid of some of that pooling, because it has just not dried very well. You know, I have water in over here. Yeah, Crystal Dean says yes. So yeah, I was right. It was the let's go to the workbench. Oh no, it has dried. It's just I've got it in such a blob there. It's just gone very shiny. I will see if I can just reactivate that a minute and just tidy that up a little bit. Okay. We know that the show is in full swing now because I stopped talking so much.
It's a bit weird with the delay, just because like you're talking about one colour while holding a really different one.
Yeah.
And, like, referencing a mouth, and it's still focused on the guns.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. This is one thing that Kyle really got used to it in the end, and actually we actually found various solutions to it, but we had to go back to the delay because Kyle just got so used to it. It was, it was the conventional norm for him on the show. Basically, because of my software, for whatever reason, there is a delay when we're streaming to YouTube. And that might just be a YouTube thing. Perhaps they want to buffer to make sure that the content is safe. I don't know how it works. But there is anywhere up to 15, maybe 20-second delay for what is being broadcast. Now, I don't experience it so much because I've got my phone on the side over here, and it's how I check that the stream is running fine. I've got my phone here on the side, and I at the end of the show I go, oh no, yeah, the show has ended. Now I can end the stream properly and push the big red button. But at your end, for some reason, like the stream is like the delay is longer. So yes, the only way you can see what's going on is to watch the actual stream, because I can't show you what's going on because my computer isn't that good. Yet. Yes, it is. It is a room that I use. I'm very fortunate to have some very polite and forgiving housemates who just let me use this room all the time. But it does mean that I can't have a permanent studio, which is fair, absolutely fair. They let me do what I need to do in here, and if they want to use the room, they say, "Hey, Danny, we need to use that room." And then I have to strip the studio down because maybe they want to have a meal or something, or perhaps they want to use the room for having a guest over when we're allowed to have guests over and stuff. I'm really struggling with my wet palette today because it dried up while I was doing some airbrushing just before the show, about an hour or so before the show. So I put some more water. I put some more water in there, and it's just gone crinkly. I can't seem to iron it out very well. So. Yes, if there are going to be any problems today, it's going to be with this wet palette.
Speaking of wet palettes, what wet palette are you using again?
I forget the name of the one that I am using. I've got the lid down here. It hasn't got a brand name on it. I cannot remember. It is a very, very affordable one from Amazon. I believe it was a birthday present or a Christmas present. Not the last Christmas just been, but the one before. My partner said, "What do you want for Christmas?" Like, hey, I don't know what to get you. I was like, wet palette. So she got me this one. She didn't know what she was buying. I've never played with a wet palette up to that, before that point, so I didn't know what to suggest. So she just got me the most affordable one. And it's more than I need. It's enormous. Looking at the screen, you can see that it's like the size of an A4 page. I only really need what you can see here on the screen, so maybe a third of that. But it's fine. I don't think that I need. I don't paint as often as I would like to while I'm working, so it's not like I need something super duper. This one does fine for me at the moment. However, if you are looking to buy a wet palette, I strongly suggest, if you want to spend a little bit of money on it, that is, and you don't want to get the same one that I've got, you want to have a look at Redgrass Games.
That is the exact wet palette I was going for.
Yes, they Oh, okay, cool. So they are the premium, preeminent brand as far as I am concerned with wet palettes, and they are exceptional from all reviews. Do get one. Have a go.
They're releasing a new one soon. It's currently on Kickstarter.
I saw actually just a couple of days ago. Yes, they're making even larger ones, aren't they? And all sorts of things. Yeah. For me, I'd want to downsize because I really struggle with the amount of space I have on my desk because I'm one of those really mucky pups who just I just can't have a tidy workbench, And I know you've got a mucky workbench too. Kyle has told me. It's not so bad today because the week before last, I had to strip the whole studio down because we had an electrician coming around to have a look at all of our plug sockets and light switches and everything, so I had to give him clear access. So it's actually fairly tidy in here at the moment, but what I'm really bad for is just piling stuff up, not necessarily having a messy workplace, but just a cluttered workspace, so I can't move for all the pots of paint that I barely ever use, you know. So yeah, that's my my crime, really.
Just quick thing from the comments, apparently there's a small bit of buffering. I imagine that's more blind side than green.
Okay, I've got nothing on this end over here. Yeah, you're getting a bit of buffering, or is it me? It's probably at your end. There doesn't seem to be any problems at my end.
Nothing on mine as well.
However, if the stream does cut out in the past, it's just cut out without or with very little warning. So, let's see how we go. It's just nice to have someone else on and talk, frankly. But yes, do let us know how that buffering goes. Let us know if anybody else is experiencing that buffering. It could just be that you've got a bit of a slow connection today at your end there, perhaps. Sorry. That's a good cup of tea. Right. So, I am going to try and do some more of this streaky blending. I'm going to try and do it. Should I try it on the guns first, or should I try it on the big crabby claws? Big crabby claws are going to be really hard because they don't seem to have any sort of direction. They are just big bits. Everything I've done so far is like sweeping towards a point, be it a claw or the edge of a carapace, but these things are just a little bit different. And you can also see that the ink that I've put on the forearm piece here, it seems very, very random. There wasn't any sort of obvious place to put it, so I just put it down, and then as I blend it, it should just look cool. Do you know what? Just to get things going, I'm going to start on the guns because at least I know I can do that.
Good idea.
Yeah. Because the parts of the gun are so small, I'm going to be using my really, really tiny sable brush. I tried to move away from using this one so much because of the bigger brushes just hold more, and you can get a lot more control out of them. But, you know, very small piece might just be beneficial using a very small brush. Okay, so let's see where we go. Gonna start on the second to top plate because that's the one that's got some shading. The top plate doesn't have any. There's a tiny little fly flying around over here. Darren Venenis says it's all good my end. There you go, Jeff. That's it must be just a little bit of delay at your end. So just gonna put a little bit of this highlight just at the end of this plate here. There he is, little fly. Hello, little fella. You can stay there, mate. It's fine. Cheers.
Hopefully the Tyranids will
yeah, that could be a borer beetle. That would be very distressing. Okay, so what I'm learning here is that this actually needs to be a little bit lighter. Now, it could be that I actually have the right colour, but it might be on such a small piece that it's quite hard to distinguish. So this is the problem with blending your own paints, is that you have to do it every time, and it takes a minute to get there. As well, I'm a little bit more impatient, and even though I'm using a wet palette, I don't use it enough. That is the wrong colour. Well done. I want to go... No, that is the right colour. No, I want to go lighter, not darker. Yeah, because obviously the idea with a wet palette is it doesn't just prolong your paints for your session, it prolongs them beyond your session. So, you know, up to a week. But
to be honest, with red grass, I have used the paint months after using it.
Have you?
Yeah.
See, with this particular one, because it is that much cheaper, within a week the paints have separated. So yeah, you can reactivate them, but they're just mostly water by that point, and they often have looks like a little black ink kind of just running through where the colour used to be, and that's all she wrote. So that definitely tells you the quality of the red grass wet palette. But if I was just to buy the right shades, the right kind of greys, or whatever colour it is that I'm using, I don't have to worry about it. It's just I can come back to it whenever, you know, and just go, okay, I'm going to use this colour now. I always know what colour I've got because I'm just not that good. I wish I was.
Oh, you'll get there.
Yes, of course. I'm totally open to that. I've come so far just in the realms of doing this show. I mean, the show's not been running for a year, just over 6 months, 7.5 months perhaps, and I've come a long way, a long way. So yeah, that's exciting. Right, let's get a bit of this grey back on again. Get a bit of water in there. Very crinkly paper. How long have you been using the wet palette?
I think only not too long. I think 2 and a bit months, maybe 3, maybe coming up to 4.
Has it changed your life?
In terms of painting, yes.
Yeah, it took me a little while to get used to it, and then once I did, I was like, oh my god, my world has changed. Jeff says that the stream is okay now. Lovely, thanks. Must have just had a little bit of buffering at your end.
But yeah, wet palettes definitely do take a little bit to get used to. But once you're used to them, it's just... yes. Painting session resume.
It really is, isn't it? Okay, I think I have the right colour here, but I am... I've just realised that because I applied the ink by brush and just kind of let it dry there months ago now, that I actually need to blend that with the original grey colour as well, so I need to kind of go back. I'm a little bit all over the place with this today, but that's okay. Oh, it's all gone quiet. It's all gone quiet.
Yes.
Just check that I'm in shot. I am not. There we go. Okay.
I'm mostly shot. Mostly just my head.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't get a second workbench on here so we can see what you're doing. But we could do. But it's just the faff and the processor. It's too much. It's too much.
And also, I don't have that many good quality cameras.
Yeah, you do need something. You can't have a poor one for that. I have a Logitech C90.
Nice.
It is, I think it's supposed to be the best webcam out there at the moment for standard webcam things. It's not very good at tracking movement, but I don't need it for that. And it cost me £100.
I think mine was 20.
Okay, that's some basic highlighting there. Still feel like I need to go a little bit lighter, probably because it's smaller. Okay, but I am going to get some of the darker colour here, the Dawnstone. Just going to get that on the wet palette by itself, just so I can blend out the black colour in there as well. So let's just get that on the wet palette there.
That is true, Crystal Beam. Hard work will always pay off.
Ah, yes, thank you. Yes, it will. The thing is, it's so easy you're painting, it's so easy just to kind of fall back into what you're used to, and what you're used to isn't getting better. That's not to say that you're not good, but you know, if you want to get better, if you want to improve, you really need to kind of think about what it is that what it is that you want to improve in. You have to, yes. Like, pick parts of your painting and go like, what about your models that do you want better? So for me, it was just about the blending and just the level of detail in the brush strokes. So I'm actually like painting a pattern onto my carapace. That is taking some time, but I'm getting faster at it. I'm getting better at it. A lot of it is just working out how to apply it. So with the carapace, it's nice and easy because I just kind of make the streaks from here inwards, and as you can see, that kind of gives you some really nice lines. But on parts like here, I really need to think about it. Okay, so I've got the darker grey here. I'm going to try and blend in. Oh no, don't drop it. And try and blend in the black edges here. Black edges.
Your Dar also put in a comment. How come you are alright mixing colours when you work with me? ... But not when you're figure painting. Then space ?
Oh, I didn't see that comment. Yes, for those of you who don't know, Jeff is my dad. Hi, Dad. And he owns a business called Purple Lion Creations, where he makes wonderful buildings, very high quality, all bespoke, custom built to customers' designs and things. And when I haven't been working during the pandemic and over winters, because I work seasonally, I help. And I help do all the painting. He does a lot of the making, I do the painting stuff. I don't know is the answer to the question. Probably because all of your designs are one-offs. It's easy to build that or to blend that one color that's going to be used for that one build. But here, like, I need my colors to be consistent over a whole army.
I suppose one-off mixings is always a bit easier than the consistent mixings.
Yeah. I think what he may be referencing to is the German railway station, or the train station thing, which was a hell of a build, and it was really good fun, and it looked beautiful. At the end, it was, yeah. My job was to paint all the railway tracks. It was a lot of fun. It took a very long time. There were 16 feet of it in all. Yeah,
that was quite a few feet.
Yeah, it was quite a thing. So I just had to get the right brown to make a rusted metal, and then highlights with orange and things. And then there was all the pebbles and all the sleepers. It took forever. And by the end of it, I think I went slightly crazy. But the customer loved it. It looked great. Yeah, it looked wonderful. Okay, just by applying a little bit of this darker grey, it's very hard on these really tiny plates to actually feather, but just by adding a little bit of watered down dark grey just to the edges, the outside edges of this black, it removes the tide mark of where the paint dried, and it actually gives it a soft blend. Yeah, which is really good. That's what we want. When you compare this gun here now to the other side, I don't know if the camera really picks it up very well, but yeah, in front of my face right now, it is a very distinct difference. I know that the stream actually does look different than it does on my screen. I watch it on playback and I'm like, oh no, I can see quite well under all the lights. I think it's just probably while I'm in the studio here, it just looks a little bit different. However, I will take pictures of it and stuff later on, where I know that I can get the color balances and things and the light levels and everything correct. So if you want to have a little look at it later on, I'll put a little photo of her up on Facebook, as I always do. So you can head on over to Facebook and, you know, follow stuff over there, like stuff over there, tell a friend, come along, you know. So, blended that one in lovely here. Gonna come over here and blend this one in lovely over here. That's looking really good. However, it's so shiny under these lights, and lights are so close that it's really hard to see where the paint actually is.
Seeing paint would definitely be a useful thing.
It really is. Yeah. And then, so I soften the edge up, and then I track in a little bit more into where the paint sits, and kind of feather it a little bit, and it just really gives it a nice sort of I don't know what the term is, but like the sort of cracked image, if you like. Does that make sense? Like the cracked lines.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it as well.
Yeah, I can't.
It's like the natural ridges.
Yeah.
That would form some things.
Natural ridges. Growth lines. Yeah, growth lines.
The grain.
The grain. Let's go with that. The plates get so small, it's quite hard to kind of get that effect in. So I'm just going to soften up the edges. Also an opportunity just to clean up any rough bits. That's looking pretty good. Happy with that. Right now I can go back in with a lighter colour that I've blended. I might even just go straight into the really highlight colour, which is just Administratum Grey on its own, just because these plates are so small. Having so many transition colours, just the effect is lost really. And this is why this whole scheme has taken me so long, is because it's all these little things that I need to pick up. You know, you don't know that going straight in. You have to sort of learn and develop your own technique and the ways that you paint and things. And it feels like it's taking forever. But once I've got it nailed down, like it will be so much faster the next time round.
Yeah. What Tyranid model is that again?
So this is the Carnifex. Yeah, and I've got the Trigon on going on in the background at the same time. And I've got the Trigon almost up to the same point, so she's almost good to go just on the carapace and then have a base done really. So once I've got the Carnifex done and I've learned how to do that effect on the carapace, I should just go straight to the Trigon and just kind of have it, get it done nice and quick. Darren says, "Gotta go, guys. Have a great evening. See you later, Darren. Hope you're well, mate. Have a safe one. Be kind, be safe, be painty. Yeah. Cheers, then." Right. Of course, one of the things that I wanted to talk about today, and we were talking about it a little bit earlier on, is the app that I found when I was trawling. painting rack or paint rack. It was something that just kind of was mentioned briefly by a user talking to another user on one of the many forums that I follow on Facebook about, you know, painting miniatures and Games Workshop stuff. Yes, it's called the Paint Rack app, and we, you know, you downloaded the free version. I bought the pricey version, which is like $4.99, and we were both dumbfounded by how good an app it actually is. It's really. What did you think about it?
It's definitely going to be replacing the Citadel app for me, just because of the amount of paint brands just on there.
It's incredible.
To colour reference.
So the idea is that just by, you know, on the power of your phone, you can have a reference, a colour chart reference with all the names and codes and everything that you could possibly want for every colour paint out there. It is astonishing just how much there is on that app. So I wanted something. I wanted like some different shades of greys, and incidentally, what caught my eye was this conversation happening on this forum. Someone was talking about the different shades and was talking about Dawnstone grey, the grey that I use for my base greys here, and I wanted something in between the two colours or the two shades that I've got. And so did this guy. And one guy just said, check out this app. It's really good. And it is phenomenal. It's quite involving, so it's going to take a little bit of playing around with and exploring and, you know, understanding how it works. But it looks to be like a really, really powerful tool. And if you are so inclined, I strongly suggest having a little look, because good grief, was it? The list was endless. And like you said earlier on, didn't realise that there were so many paint brands.
And so many paints in each brand.
Yes. Yeah, the list is incredible. And you can play with an interactive colour wheel on them to get all the different like colour interactions and behaviours.
That is just on the paid version though?
That is on the paid version, yes. And I was playing with that, and that was really, really good. So for $4.99, there is. I put a link to it actually in the description to this video. So if you wanted to, you could just head on over and just get downloaded on Google Play. I believe you can download it to your PC or laptop, but I think it is designed for mobiles.
Well, the main sort of free feature in there is being able to make the what's it called? Just sort of pre-planning out your colour combinations.
Yeah.
That's what they call it. That you can literally just fully make a colour tutorial. You can be like, okay, if it's a glove, I'm doing this paint, then this paint, and this paint. Here's some notes about that. Then you can be like, ah yes, but here's the cloth in a different drop down. That's just, yes. I just had a very quick mess around in there. It took a little bit of time just to find the paints I use.
Yeah. It is missing some things. I would like to be able to search through types of paint within a brand. So Citadel, for example, I'd like to be able to filter, you know, if it's a technical paint, if it's a contrast paint, if it's a layer paint, base paint, so on and so forth. That would make it a little bit easier. I do plan to get in contact with the developers to let them know that I've given them a shout out on the show, because I think it's nice to do that. And if they end up having a conversation with me, you know, that'll be a bit of the feedback that I give them. And if they are good developers, they'll be looking at all the feedback anyway, so I can always write them a message. From what they've built, it certainly looks like that they know what they're doing, so I'd say that they are good developers. Okay, well that's that side done there. Let's move on to the other side over here and highlight these edges. So yeah, head on over to the Paint Rack app. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. That sounds really horrible, I know. But yeah, I was expecting it to be, an interesting feature. Oh yeah, this guy says it was really good. But no, he was not lying.
True that. I was just sort of expecting it to be like just a place for you to keep track of what paints you have.
Yeah.
Like, here's my paints, just so I don't accidentally buy some new ones. But it's definitely more. It's got the feature that I was talking about. That's sort of a very good thing. I don't know how many you get on the free side, but that will probably not matter too much, unless if you're painting like 6 armies, all with slight different things.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
But you have to try and remember.
So really good if you're like a professional painter.
You definitely just see more of a like an intermediate to professional level one. Is it in the 10 content?
Oh, sorry, Luke, I've got my concentration voice on. My concentration voice sounds like this. But I was listening in earnest, yes.
Yes. And I almost forgot to paint a few things before I switched to colours.
You said earlier on there was a piece on the model that you were looking at that you've never seen painted before.
Yes, the backs of the knees.
But normally, because they have like loincloths and things, you don't ever have to get in there, do you?
No.
Does
This
today.
one just has one knee slightly out there. Which is really annoying if I put a sensor over, as in the holy sensor, not a sensor bar.
Yeah. This behind the knee is censored. Extreme content. So with your Bloody Rose order, are you following the paint scheme exactly, or are you kind of adapting it to your own flavour as well?
So this one, I'm mostly painting to sell, because my plan, well, I have a small plan, and that is start off with the cheapest model I could find, of which this one I got for free.
Nice.
Luckily.
That's very cheap.
Yep. So did a small bit of kit bashing to turn it from just a generic sister battle
Yeah.
to one looking a bit more canonesy, of like the leader HQ choice. And I'm basically painting it up just to sell it. So I chose Bloody Rose because that's sort of one of the more competitive ones in the codex from last edition and what's expecting to be in this edition as well. And then once I sold that one, hopefully I made a bit of profit. If I didn't, I'll be surprised, because 3 plus a little bit of time shouldn't add up to much. But then I'll use that to get a different model, do the exact same thing, paint out to sell, and hopefully in the end of it, an Imperial Knight will be made.
Nice little project you got yourself there.
Yeah. If I can get like halfway from that in the year, that will be a good goal to set. Not halfway through the year, we're already halfway through the year. At the end of the year.
So within a 6-month period, you'd like to be halfway towards your knight, yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, best of luck. Do feel free to put your finished models for sale up on the Facebook page
Will do.
for Easy 8, so if people in the community want it, unless you've already got a buyer in mind for it.
Not at the moment. I would probably just be doing Facebook marketplaces.
Yep.
And also this gives me a really good excuse to paint other models and not feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
Because I normally do just a sister's battle scheme, which is just white and red. And after I've just gotten quite a few more, I've got a lot more to do.
Yeah, ever since I received the care package of Tyranids, my workload shot through the roof. Okay, well that's the plates on the gun done. Oh, not the best job ever, but you know, good enough that they're so small. They just need to have that little edging on them, really, with a little bit of direction on them. So that's that. We're pretty much at the point where we're going to go for an intermission. So I'll just take us over to we're going to the intermission page, because I have that. Yeah.
Think I just finished my second base colour.
Oh, well, how many base colours in total have you got to go through?
I've got 1, 2. I want to say 4 more base colours out of 6.
Okay. Nearly missed my mouth with my cup of tea.
Got the main cloth. So sort of just like metallics and weapon colours.
You doing proper metallic colours, or are you doing non-metallic metallics, non-metal metallics?
I will be doing normal, true metallic metals, just because there are some smaller pieces like chainsaw blades.
Yeah.
A grenade. It's like I could do it, but it's not big enough to.
Non-metallic metals is really difficult. It's something that I am not ready for yet. So if you do get into that, best of luck.
Thank you. Well, I know a few small tips and tricks with non-metallic metals, all within the 5-minute tutorial I showed you earlier.
Yeah, you know, that is something that I would really like to talk about in the future as well. Is the 5-minute tutorials on YouTube are absolutely fantastic, by a gentleman. I can't remember his name because we were only looking at it just earlier on. I believe it was Zumakito. I could be wrong. You should definitely. That's it. Yeah, you should definitely go and check him out because he knows exactly what he's talking about. He is very, very good at what he does, and he does teach you how to do some of the harder things and some of the easier things in 5-minute videos. He's got the whole process nailed. He is very, very good, and you should definitely go and check him out. It's something that I would like to. Maybe I'll reach out to him and have a chat, perhaps, if he's interested. He might have a lot of followers. Who knows? But it was something that I would like to do as a part of this show, and I've spoken to Kyle about it in the past as well, is learning how to do flesh on a larger scale model. So I would definitely use his tutorial videos as a part of that learning curve on this show, because yeah, that guy knows exactly how it's done. And yeah, it looks brilliant. So if you're interested, head on over and have a look. Zumakito Miniatures. I don't have a link in the description, but if you are interested, I can always put one there. Just go and search Zumakito because that's his name.
Or if you can't spell it, just type in 5-minute blending tutorial.
There you go.
And it's a like purplish background for the channel colour.
There you go. Right. Well, I'm just going to finish off doing this claw during the intermission, and then when we come back, I'm going to move over and do a little bit on my tanks and see how far I get on there. Talk about those for a little bit. But in the meantime, we're going to go and have a short 10-minute break. A short 10-minute break as opposed to a long 10-minute break. Crystal Dean says, stay hydrated. Make sure to drink, everyone. Yes, do. Make sure. Go and get yourself a cup of tea. Go get yourself a beer or beverage of choice. Go stretch your legs and refocus your eyes. Or maybe just go and change your paint water. You should definitely go and change your paint water. Tell him, Luke. He's not telling you. Okay, cool.
I would make pink paint if I used white next.
Yeah. Always do it. I have the dirtiest paint water. I need to go and change it. We'll be right back. See you in a bit. Bye.
See you in 10.
Cheers. welcome back, my lovely little jazz set. Lovely little jazz set. Yeah, I hope you had a great break. It went really fast, and I didn't realise we got to the end, and I didn't go and change my paint water. But it's okay. I don't need to worry about it because the only colour I'm working with is paint water is grey. Right now, yeah, cool. It's been a productive evening, getting stuff done. It's all slow at the moment, but you know that is the way that I paint. Just gotta be patient with it. I'm not alone this evening. I am with Luke. Oh, Luke, your angle has changed. You're looking down. Okay, cool. Yeah, that was shocking. I haven't been looking at the screen enough. Yeah, I'm still painting this claw here at the moment. It's all the angles are different on it because it's all like curving, and I'm enjoying the whole process of just kind of learning. To do different things, basically, to just kind of make things look natural and real. It's very difficult, but I'm enjoying the whole thing. It's very cool. Anyway, I'm just going to clean this brush out. So, Luke, you were just saying, I've also just realised that Luke was silenced because I didn't push the unmute button. But it's okay. He barely said a word. It's absolutely fine. Don't fret. He was just saying... yeah, cool, and things like that. It's been a while since I've had a second person on the show. I forgot about the button, but that's live broadcasting for you. Anyway, Luke was just telling me that we do have some viewers all the way over in Germany, so that's brilliant news. A couple of your friends from online, I believe, that you mentioned, who are painters and have come on just to see what it's all about and maybe kind of have a little bit of company as well, which is great. So all the way over to Germany, welcome to the show. I hope you're getting at least a little bit out of this show. I enjoy it. I hope you do too. Cool. Yeah, Germany. We go as far back around the globe as California. And we go all the way around to Sydney, so it's nice to have a little bit of middle ground being occupied as well. So, welcome Germany. Yeah, cool.
I thought that was a British tactic to have middle ground between everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not going to touch that with a yardstick, mate. not touching that one at all. There we go. I'll just be British and drink my tea. So, yeah. I think it's time to put the Carnifex away, because I did say that I was going to move on to tanks, but I can come back to him in a little bit. I'm going to clean my brush out, and I'm going to pop the lid on my wet palette so that it doesn't dry out quick, because it's gone all crinkly in there, and yeah, because I left it for too long. Let me move a few things around over here. Let's move over to some tanks. I love tanks. Tanks are cool.
I know very little about tanks, as I'm pretty sure I've said before.
Yeah, I've learned so much about tanks from painting them. I just find the whole thing about tanks fascinating. Chris the Wolf says, we have been discovered. Crystal Dean says, oh no, so Crystal must be one of your friends, and yep. And then there's Chris the Wolf as well. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, welcome to the show. It's so nice to have new faces or new names and things on there. I understand that you've been watching over in Discord. I don't know if the Discord server kind of links the views from here, because I know that you can watch the videos live through Discord, but I wonder if it hits me up on the view account. I wonder if you can type in the chat in Discord. Does it come up here? I don't know.
You need to check that out, because
that would be lovely.
Is actually an interesting thing to try and find out.
It would be great. Yeah, though not necessary. It would just be fun to know. Cool. So yeah, the tanks that I've been painting. I love tanks. I love the Second World War tanks. I don't really fully understand my fascination. I just know that I am fascinated by them. I'll take you back over to the workbench. Here we go. Crystal for you. Here we go. There we are. It's fantastic. So the tanks that I have been playing with the last couple of weeks have been these little 15mm tanks. I think they're wonderful. I've not been putting my heart and soul into them, just been having fun with them. Because they are so small, if you spend all the time doing all the detail like I originally started doing with them, like you would on a 1/35th build, it's just too much. It's just, effort that's lost. So today I've been playing around with the camouflage colours. I'm not completely happy with it at the moment because it's my first time going into camouflage colours. I've left my King Tiger without camouflage on it, just as a base gauge for myself. I also like the way that all the colours worked on it. I've been using modulation colours for those of you that haven't been following up to date so far. Modulation colours, if you don't know what they are basically all of the same hue, but they are within different saturations, and there are 6 colours in there basically. So I can start off with a base colour, and I can highlight up through the lighter colours, and I can also give some progressive shadows going down as well. On a really big tank like the 135th Panther that I've got, it looks absolutely astonishing, and it also doesn't look too shabby on these small ones. I don't use the whole set on these smaller ones because again it's just too much, so I use a base colour, I do the darkest shadow, and I do almost the brightest highlights to kind of give that sort of flare effect on there as well. What I don't like about it at the moment is that as soon as I put the camouflage colours on there, a lot of that effort and effect is lost. Not entirely, I can still see it, I know where it is. It is obvious on this Jagd Tiger here. But it's, yeah, and the colours aren't so great. The red's a nice colour. The green is very, very bright and fluorescent. I didn't expect it to be that sort of colour. I am using a modulation set with gem and camouflage colours here as well. So I have the 2 colours. I have the red colour and I have the green colour, and I've been playing with those today. So these are the base colours, and I also have like a shadow and a highlight colour version of them. So what I'm going to do this evening is I'm going to probably stick with the Jagd Tiger at the moment because it's my airbrush is just filling up with air. If you can hear that in the background, I apologise. What I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to play around with the modulation on the stripes that I've put on there. So I had a little look through a couple of my books. I've got some really nice reference material here. This book here by David Porter is an absolutely fantastic book. If you want to have the ISBN number, here it is. Maybe go back on replay and pause if you want it. I highly recommend it. It's brilliant. It's just full of very, very well done, very, very well detailed plan. Is it plan or just side view images? They're all drawn, but with very good level of detail and realism in there, and it's been very handy for camouflage patterns and things. So I just went through and found a couple of the tanks that I've got. So obviously the Jagd Tiger and the King Tiger. And I just thought, I'm going to do like a chevron here and then a bigger chevron there. And then as I went onto the other side, I kind of filled in the blanks. And I just kind of made it up as I went along. I did it with airbrush. I did it freehand. It's a 15mm tank. It's smaller than the palm of my hand. No one really cares that much. But I do want to get the modulation effect in there. The green doesn't show up very much at the moment. And that is some heavy spraying on there as well. So what I'm going to try and do, and I don't know how good I'm going to be at it, so I might end up having to apply this with brush in the end, is I'm going to see if I can match where the modulation is on the Dunkelgelb colour, the base yellow colours. And I'm going to see if I can match the highlight areas as well. So yeah, so where those shadow and highlight effects are, is try and match them with the modulation effects. That may not work, but you know, it's about having some fun and experimenting. So I don't like to spray on my work mat because I like to be as tidy as I possibly can. So here's a piece of paper. My tank actually is camouflaged against that paper. Well done me. I've got my airbrush, which has now just been injected with a load of air, and I cleaned it out wonderfully during the show and before the show as well, because last week we were getting a lot of spitting with it, and right now it seems to be working fairly well. So I also did my Ferdinand here. I believe this is the Ferdinand as well, because I think that the elephant is ever so slightly different. I've just realised that actually I may be missing a piece from making the model. There might be like a little periscope section there. I'll have a look through all my spare parts and whatnot. This one I did some wiggly lines because that one as a design came up. I did it very messily. I'm not very happy with it at all. I was struggling trying to get the paint to move and get it so fine lines. It was kind of dribbling and spitting and whatever. But you know, from a distance it looks alright, so I might try and neaten that one up. So all the work I'm going to be doing at the moment is on the Jagd Tiger, and like I said, it's just going to be a case of now trying to like replicate some shadows and highlights. So I've been using the Rot Brawn base, and I also have the shadow, and I have the highlight colour, and underneath you can see the differences. Let me just give them all a a veritable shake. It's a veritable shake. Hopefully, yeah, we can see some differences now in those colours. So I'm going to start with a shadow. I think I'll go into the shadow before I go into highlights. And I don't really know where I'm going to apply this. Typically, I like to keep the back end of the tanks darker and the front end's lighter. But I don't just stay with that as well. I do like try to get a little bit of rendering in and around some of the detail. So on the mud flaps here as an example. You okay there, Luke? There's a lot of smashing around over there.
Yeah, may have just dropped the paint on the floor.
Don't spill your paints. Don't be like your brother. So like on the mud flaps, for example, I like to make them a little bit darker, getting towards the tracks, and I also like to make this bit in here, this crease here, a little bit darker, and then I accentuate the darkness moving further towards the back. And then I accentuate the highlights moving further forwards. I also like to make like the corners a little bit more highlighty, that's the technical term, and then some of the panels at whatever, and obviously on the ends of the cannon I like to make them a little bit brighter, and on the back you can see how dark it actually goes over here compared to the front. So I'm going to try and replicate that. I really don't want to ruin the tank. I love the model so much, but you only get good by doing it right. So let's do this. I put about 12-15 drops of paint in, and then I put in a drop or two of flow improver just to stop it from drying inside the airbrush. This doesn't really stop it from drying so much. That's more like a paint retardant job really, but this does help it sort of flow a bit better. I know that's an obvious thing to say with flow improver, I get it, but it does help it from drying so quickly. Because all of the paints I use are of an appropriate viscosity in the airbrush, I don't really use airbrush thinner very much anymore. But I always have some on the side ready to go if I need to. But especially for doing small amounts of painting like this, if I was to use airbrush thinner in here, it would just kind of have a runaway effect. You kind of get that spidering effect. Like for example, you can see on this piece of paper here, spidering effect, this sort of pattern. That's not what you want. Unless it is. Right, so
if you are doing like a weird web design, that's probably...
It's exactly what you want, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a little practice on my piece of paper, so I can get like a nice area coverage like that. Or if I get down...
ideas now.
Yeah. Or I can come down really close with a really gentle stream. And I should be able to get quite some detail in there. I take my nib protector off here, get a little bit better with the detail, and it's also easier to clean on the go. Right, let's just hit go and see what happens. That is too much. See how I've ruined that already? Oh no! But it's moist enough that I can just move it away with my finger, which is great.
I've not used an airbrush too much, apart from some quick coverage and some OSL. Is there much to it?
Once you get past the basics of it, not really. A lot of it is just learning. And when it comes down to doing tiny bits like this, I am very much new at it. Hence the whole not really enjoying the effect it's giving me at the moment. Yeah, it's fun. It made me think about paints a lot more, and colours generally. So that was definitely worth it.
Good.
It's definitely an experience to have a play with. I recommend it.
They are definitely fun to play around with, and they also make object source lighting a million times easier.
Well, I originally got mine because I'm a Tyranid player, and frankly, I got bored of base painting yellow.
I do not blame you.
Yeah.
As I used to be a Skaven player.
That's a horde army as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Painting up hundreds of little rats.
What a pain in the backside that must have been.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that is partially the reason why I don't do too much batch painting, because it was just a bit too much.
It's making you go mental.
Yeah.
It's drying on the needle so fast. That is incredible. Okay. This is tough going, but I'm going to persevere.
Perseverance is key. There we go. That should be brown as well.
So, looking back, I noticed that there was a couple of comments in there that I didn't read out earlier. Well, actually, just the one, which is from Jeff. Dad, hi. It says, are you going to do an acid pool for the base on that one? Obviously referring to the Carnifex model. Yes, I think I am with the Carnifex. The problem with the Carnifex model is it's really low to the ground. If I bring it back in the shot, you can see where her feet are going to be. So anything that I do could be hidden. So it's going to take a little bit of design and thought, but I would like to. Because the Trigon actually covers quite a lot of the very large base. And anything that I put on here it's going to be quite small compared to what it could be for the size of the base. So I might not bother with an acid base on the Trigon, and I'll do it on the Carnifex instead. So yeah, good question.
Speaking of bases, I may have put in a lot of effort for the base on what I'm currently going for.
Yeah.
It's currently just on a bottle cap, just to be easily painted.
For sure.
But the base has multiple layers, and it's only like 30 mil, 32 mil base.
Right.
Let's see if my camera will vaguely pick up.
Do you know what? Give me a second, and I'll take you straight over to a full screen. Here we go. Transition.
Ooh.
You're on full screen.
Let's use this one. Yeah, it's got multiple layers. It's got.
That is pretty cool.
Just underneath like a metal grid.
Yes, I see. Would love to see some photographs of that later on. If you could put them up on the Facebook and on Discord, that'd be great.
Will do. But
yeah.
The
great, because it's a metal grate. Yeah. You're very welcome. I love a pun.
How's it called? The grate, there we go. We were just talking about it. Has some of the simple object source lighting, because of course metal's gonna reflect the red armor. So it's slightly glassed up a bit. Move closer. Underneath was my first real attempt of using a crackle paint as well from Green Stuff World.
Right. I love crackle paint.
With my paint water. Yeah, I really love the stuff. Chuck and flop on there as well. Yeah, it's all from that base.
Brilliant.
And I now have a wet arm.
Don't put your hand in your paint water. Let's come away from here. Let's go back to the workbench. Here we go. Hey. Put your hand in your paint water.
We just had a comment come through. I think Luke is a bit quiet because of background music. I am very quick to check.
Yeah, the background music does come through a little bit. Unfortunately, come through on the same source, so it is very difficult to monitor the two. So if I pull the background music back a little bit, you might be able to hear Luke a bit more. I can only apologise. It's because of my amateurness when it comes to broadcasting. I've had similar problems in the past when Kyle has been on the show, but when he was on the show, he was on quite consistently, so we were able to spend time to adjust it. It's been a while since he's been on, so yeah. Hopefully you should be able to hear Kyle now. Yeah. It really is. The problem is that what I hear is different than what goes out. So yeah, that makes it a bit more difficult. So yeah, I put a bit of shading on here. I actually ended up putting a lot more shadow around everywhere, just applying it where the lines are. So now rather than having like shaded parts of the tank in camouflage, we just have like shaded parts of the camouflage. And maybe if I do the green, it will define it a bit more, and then the yellow will stand out a bit more as well underneath it. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I quite like the red standing out as much as it does at the moment. Let's see. I might go over to the Ferdinand here, because I still got quite a bit of this red colour in the airbrush. It's drying like a crazy thing on the needle. It's drying as it's coming out. It's mental. Let's see if I can just make those marks a little bit better.
May have just broke off the sword.
Don't do that, mate.
I can paint that and repair it later. Stick some metals on there.
Oh dear, I have got a twitchy trigger finger today, and I'm getting some real horrible blasting artifacts. No, I am not enjoying that at all. So I'm just going to flush what I've got in the airbrush here. I'm just going to clean that out, and I'm going to move over to the green. I might end up having to do this pattern on the elephant here by hand. That might be a good sort of comparison to doing airbrush and brush. Let me just flush this through. I'll be right with you. We'll get some green in there.
Just about to say something, then I completely forgot what I was going to say.
Must have been really important, mate.
Probably.
Right. Clean that hopper out, because anything that I clean from the hopper will just go straight into the paint chamber, and then we'll block the whole thing up. And then Chris says, "Hey, don't worry about it." Ah, thanks very much, man. It's yeah, I like to make the show as professional as I can, but at the same time there is a certain charm to it being rustic, I think. I like a rustic show. It's not
as rustic you can be with technology.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be something or someone that I'm not, and I just like to provide a little bit of a painting club experience for people who want some company when they're doing their stuff. And it should be just about being friendly, well-natured, sharing of painting knowledge or company. That's all it is. But at the same time, it is good to have that kind of quality aspect to it, which I don't always achieve. My apologies. Maybe if the show is still going in like a year, or as a year, perhaps I'll see if I can do a course in being a broadcaster and learn some real tips and tricks and stuff of the trade. That would be beneficial, perhaps. Okay, and want a bit of water in there. Give that a bit of a flush through.
I just remembered what I was going to say.
Okay.
Have you found it a bit too hot to paint recently with the recent surge of heat?
Yes, I am a lovely golden brown colour now, which is very unusual given my Scandinavian skin. Like the sort of skin that does not want to be in daylight at all. But yes, it's been very, very warm. Today I've been mostly doing brush painting today in the studio, and I did a little bit of airbrushing earlier on, and I'm doing airbrushing now, and it is quite warm. Like I have been this evening quite uncomfortable, and like I said, the airbrush paints have been drying up on the needle tip, and I wonder if that is just because I'm not using something like a paint retarder, or if it's because it is just really warm at the moment. I just don't know. Mike Turner has joined us. Hello, he says. Hi, how you doing? You do need to you need to report live from various locations. You want me to report live from various locations? I don't get it. Jeff says I used to do yeah. I do want to do live from various locations, but explain what you mean. Tell me this various locations thing. You have something in your mind, clearly. you have a joke or something here, maybe, or an idea. Jeff says, I used to make a stipple brush for German camo lines, but that was on a bigger scale. Yeah, that's a nice idea. I know what you mean as well. I could certainly give that a shot. So this is the shadow version of the green, which is more of the base colour I expected, but that's because I'm used to working with olive greens. This is olive green, but it's the German olive green, or olive grün. I'm going to try it without the flow improver and just see if that has an effect on the drying speed, because it might be that using the flow improver is actually increasing its dryability, the drying speed. Hey, Mike says because Mike says because I'm talking about presenting and broadcasting. Yeah, man, it's my own telly show. I love it. Yeah, but I would like to do like live from various places. It would be cool. Let's give this a try. Well, it seems to be flowing better, which is bizarre because you think flow improver would actually improve the flow, but whatevs. I'll just saturate the whole area there, but that's okay. This is a better color. It might just be the routine that I'm painting in. Typically what I've done with the base colors, like the yellow, is I have gone from a mid color and then kind of worked out with shadows and highlights, in either way. What I'm doing exactly the same now, and I think what I should probably do is start from the darkest and work my way up. I don't know. I need to obviously play around with it a lot more. I need to probably watch some tutorials on it. If anybody has done camouflage modulations before, and has got some experience, let me know. I would love to understand a bit more about it. But the colour is, I've done a bit of a blotch at the top of it. Let me just apply some air and dry that. I'd love to know a bit more about it. I've probably gone a bit crazy with the green there. Bit of a shame, never mind. It's drying a little bit on the needle, but not as much as it was with the red, so maybe it's the flow improver that's not helping me very much there. I've had a lot of success with the flow improver in some paint jobs. It might be that with this particular set it's not so great. Perhaps I do need to mix some paint retarder in there as well, which I don't have at the moment.
Is that the one that's... I'm good at dropping things. Is that the one that slows down the drying of the paint?
So yeah, that's paint retarder. So yes, it stops it from drying so quickly. Flow improver has a certain quality of that, but it's more about making it's more for brushes really, or at least it was originally designed for brushes, to make the transition from bristle to project that much easier, much smoother. But you can get it for airbrushes as well. concentration face again. Okay.
Concentration face is always the best face.
Getting somewhere. Got another comment. Jeff says, I think they would look better when you link or pick out the detail. It will break up all the camo colors. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So when I start doing the pinstripe detailing with the inks and things, it will certainly look better. We know that has a massive effect on it, and I haven't done it yet because I'm still playing with the base colors. Oh, gone a bit heavy there as well. Never mind. Let's just hit that with a bit of air. Stop that from tide marking. Some sirens in the background there, live from the city.
The joys of living right next to a main road.
Okay.
Having everything be hot enough to need all the windows open.
It has been a bit on the warm side lately, hasn't it?
Yes.
And yeah, we are not used to it. But it has
just coming out of a winter.
Yes.
Sort of just hit us.
Yeah. Came out of nowhere.
Mach 10.
It has been a nice bit of heat though, I have to say, because the winter was long and wet. It wasn't necessarily cold or colder than what we're used to, but it was certainly damp for a very long time. But of course, yeah. But of course, it does affect us painters.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I'm liking this green. The base is very, very bright. So maybe it's just on this particular scale, I just stick with the shadow colors, and maybe supply a little bit of highlights with it here and there. But that stands out much better. I've gone a bit wide here with the green. I should have kept them quite nice, tidy stripes. But you know, I'm practicing. It's okay. I need to get a bit more in the wheels in there because I wanted some in the wheels. So I'm just gonna get some. Oh, I've gone too heavy with in the wheels. Never mind. Ruined everything. Okay. Of course, this is all very good practice for when I do the 135th build. I would like to do camouflage parts to it. Yeah, so I definitely need to do some research. That's what this is showing me is, yeah, do some research on it. Okay, cool. Let me know what you think about my colour scheme and design. I'm not entirely happy with it, but like I've just been told, it probably will be better when it's all been stained and grimed up. Cool. Okay. Cool. Let's come back to the elephant and see if I can make any improvements with the this wiggly line camouflage here. The base green earlier on was quite hard to match that red pattern that I've got on here. So I was just kind of filling some spaces with it earlier. But what I want to do is kind of outline the red. Oh, I've got it now. I can do it. But the paint is drying. I don't know if you can see that here. But there is some crusty paint coming out of here. I think I need to buy some paint retarder, which is fine. I'm wondering if I should do for some time. I see a lot of pros using it. I'm like, is this something that I need?
I mean, if it gives you an extra however long, it will always at least help you fix mistakes a bit quicker.
Yeah. Or prevent them from happening.
True. Especially with any sputtering.
Well, I think I haven't really looked after my airbrush very well. It is the one that I've learned to airbrush with, so it stands to good reason that I would have, damaged it, and I'm okay with that. As far as knowledge is, I have learned with this one. I have probably not treated it so well because of that. But do I need to buy a replacement needle? Do I need to buy a replacement airbrush? Is the inside of the paint chamber kind of damaged? I don't know. I'm happy just to kind of experiment with more products really and just kind of find out if they make a difference before I go and spend, several £100s. Oh dear, that is quite a dollop there.
I do think I got a lucky find with my airbrush. I think I picked up this airbrush for £80-ish, maybe 60.
What is your brand?
It is PME. It mainly looks like it's a catering-based airbrush.
Oh right.
Basically, something cheap that could potentially get damaged in a kitchen. But yeah, it's done pretty amazing for how much it costs.
Well, what I've done with the elephant here, you see, is I've ruined it. So I'm gonna pop that one away over there, and maybe I'll come back to it another time. Uh-oh. Never mind, eh? Let's just get rid of the paint that's left in here. It is starting to...
This is a trick that I found out today. You have some airbrush cleaner. It does a real good job at just taking away a single layer of paint at a time.
Airbrush cleaner?
Yes.
Yes, I use it. I have like in a little pot here just to kind of flush through my airbrush. Or do you just apply it by?
Just a small bit of cotton, just
like a little cotton bud.
Agitate it. Yes. If I remember correctly, that was the most recent midwinter mini video near the end.
Ah.
Just to do a small unplanned shout out. Adrian, you sucked in a few comments.
I can see, yes, I was just about to go through those. Adrian said that I'd be interested to find out how you're going to do the tracks. So far I found that Reichland Flesh Shade seems to be a good shade to use on the Rot Brown and the Creme Vice for the internals of my Tiger. Yeah, it's that we were talking about that on Discord just a little while ago. It is probably a very good colour to use. For on these little ones here, I'm just going to do like a nice dark brown on them. Again, I'm not going to go crazy with the detail. I might give them a little bit of a dry brush with some sort of dark silver, just to kind of give that sort of worn through metal appearance. On a couple of the Shermans, I've just done some dark brown on them. It seems to work really well. Again, less is more on the little builds. It's fine. On the bigger one, I'm going to spend a bit more time, maybe even weather them a little bit. There is so much to consider when doing tracks. Tracks don't actually have a colour. Tracks were not painted. Is the simple answer. Sometimes they were. Is the not so simple answer. What colours were they painted? Maybe they were painted black. I think that's more of a museum thing now, like black tracks and things. If they were painted, they were probably painted the colour of the tank itself, but mostly they were just kind of left to be bare metal because they're going to be worn through. So the deeper parts of them would rust, a heavy dark rust colour, so often like a brown. And then as they would come in contact with the floor, the higher parts of them would wear away to dark metal. When it comes to doing 1/35 builds, putting a lot of detail into that, you want to probably consider the terrain that it's on, or the environment that it's in, and do you want to weather it? Night Shift is a very good YouTube artist to watch. He is exceptional at painting larger scales especially, and does various videos on tracks on all the different tanks that he's painted, and he does a lot of different types of weathering and things, and it all adds into the various colours that you will experience when trying to do tracks. basically, I think what is important is that you find a formula that works for you. I would stay away from black, like staying away from black for tyres, because tyres aren't black, even modern ones aren't black. And the further back in time we go, rubber was almost like a bluish grey kind of colour. I've dropped my paint on the floor. Let me get that. Where has it gone?
You joined the club.
I have. I was just shaking it, so it's fine. Just consider. There's a lot of things to consider, and you should spend some time planning it out, what you want to do. Lots of source material to review, to go and read, watch. There's a lot more to it than just painting a colour for tracks. I remember when I first started painting tanks, that would actually be Games Workshop tanks. I've just typically painted them silver in the past, and it stands out as a colour because silver is actually a rubbish colour to paint. Yeah, it's not an easy subject, is tank tracks, and I've not been able to find an easy solution to it either. I'd be very interested to see what you do, as you are interested in what I do too. So let's see what we can come up with together, I suppose. I'm going to apply a little bit of highlight to my green colour now and sort of fade out the edges of it a little bit. And that is not actually too bad. Okay. This has been an interesting experience playing with this camouflage. It's definitely something I'm going to have to put a little bit more research into. We'll get a bit of spatter there. Let's take the needle protector off again. Yeah, it's difficult. That's the best way of explaining this process. It's difficult.
Just I'm wondering, how are you doing the camo? Are you literally just doing a line?
Yeah, so I just looked through some of my my source material earlier, and I just saw some nice chevrons painted on the side. So it was like sort of diagonal lines across the side of it, and I thought, I'll do a chevron, and then as I work my way across the tank, the chevrons will kind of get larger. So I've got a little chevron here on the side. I understand you have a delay. Yes, do a little chevron here. And then from this corner here, I'll do a larger chevron, which goes to the top of the casemate and down the side here again. And then I just turn the tank around and thought, rather than doing more chevrons here, larger chevrons, I'll just do a slightly different angle chevron on this side, and then just a couple of stripes on it. I was very free form with it. I just kind of made it up as I went along. I was okay with that. I think like designing the camouflage pattern is probably the hardest part. It's very difficult to replicate something that you see in the book and get it perfect. I think that's probably, if you are going to do that, it's easier to do by hand. You can buy
all by stencil.
Yeah, you can get masking putties as well, which for the big build I may consider when I go back to the 135th build. So you can actually just kind of lay it out on the tank and then just fill it in with the airbrush and off you go. Going back to tank tracks, what I did with these little ones, and what I've done with my Shermans, is I actually just used the darkest colour from the Dunkelgelb modulation. It's a brown, and though it's not exactly the perfect brown I want, it's a very good base to use on these ones. And actually, for the smaller tanks, just that colour itself is absolutely fine. So yeah, that's, play around with different colours and see what you like, see what you think. Right, well, I am struggling with the colours here today, and yeah, it's difficult. I'm not entirely happy with it. It's going to be a learning curve, a learning process. So I'm just going to empty my airbrush here because there's a couple of other things that I wanted to do and talk about. Yes, I'm going to have to put in some proper effort here. I feel that I may have ruined my tank, but you know, you have to get things wrong to learn, and I'm okay with that. Let me just flush through the airbrush here.
I mean, how do you learn without getting things wrong?
Exactly.
Reading a book? Well, you'll probably miss a word at some point, and then you have to learn from that.
Yep, I agree.
Jeff Lacey's put a comment in.
I see.
How about a fine misting of German yellow all over the mid to blend the colours of the camo?
Yeah, you're right. I could put some of that transpirator back in again, couldn't I? So the substance that I was using last week. So when I do all the shadows, when I do all the highlights, I put a 50-50 mix of the base yellow with this stuff. It basically turns it into a glaze. Put it all over, and it kind of helps blend, like do a transition blend all over. It might work. It might make it too yellow. I don't know. There is one way to try, and I might give it a go on the elephant here and see what happens. I'm not going to do it now. Perhaps I will do it in the Easy Gate after party, which if you're interested, you can come along to Discord after the show, where me and Luke will probably be for a short period of time, and anybody else who wants to come along and just kind of chat with us directly, we've got a couple of video channels in there where you can just kind of come along and chat with us if you want to, or you can just type chat or just share videos and photos or whatever you want. You can talk about whatever you like over there if you want to. So yeah, I will do it then. I'm not going to do it right now. What I wanted to do was to spend a bit of time talking about something I'm fairly certain I missed last week, and that was the things that I've made with my 3D printer. Because last week I was talking about the repairs that I've done with my 3D printer, the things that I've done to get it back up and running. I ordered some parts that all look pretty good, but I'm fairly certain that there's another piece that I need to replace. I'm still trying to clean it. It's yeah, I proper broke my printer. I really want it back up and running though, because oh, I'm going the wrong way on my technical stuff over here. There we go, cool. Yeah, I really want to get back up and running, because even though it's an FDM printer, which means that it uses a filament, it can make some really cool stuff. So for example, here is some Eldar web portals that I made. These were files from Thingiverse, which is a website dedicated to just having STL files of all the cool prints that you want. I set these to some settings that was really rushed, so these came out very quick. There's a lot of artifacting on them. You can see a lot of like layer lines and weird distortions through them, especially on the underside under here. But that's fine. That's okay, because these could be painted, treated, they could be filled and sanded, and these aren't actually that bad. And the idea was I was going to have these all weathered to make it look like that they've been standing for eons or whatever. I thought would look really cool. The color that's on them is actually a filler primer, so it was a spray can that I bought just kind of have a play with it, used for car body repairs. It didn't really have the effect that I thought it was going to. I thought it was going to be quite a dense paint that was going to magically fill the gaps and whatever. It didn't. But what I have discovered is that doing other projects with it is that once you start to sand it, it does start to mix slightly and kind of like fill the gaps as you start to sand it. So it does help that kind of cleaning process. There are some orbs on here with the layer lines. You can see that it's not done the best job at keeping it totally semi-spherical. There are little like steps and stuff on here, but again, that doesn't really matter. Weathered. Also, go on.
It's gonna be like, if you hold it at arm's length, you're a lot less likely to notice.
Exactly. So once it's
0.15 millimeter step.
Yeah, it's like 50 microns. So yes, it's pretty tiny. Yeah, but once weathered and painted and whatever, it should be fairly unseeable. So that's some of the stuff that I've done. Those were printed very quickly. I can do much better quality prints with my printer. And then, of course, because I play Tyranids, it would be remiss of me to not start playing with some Tyranid landscape stuff, right? So I printed out these couple of little towers here. Again, these were rushed. This one here is particularly awful. There's actually a lot of support structure in here that frankly didn't need to be in there. Some very, very heavy layer lines. I didn't ever really have my printer very well dialed in, but again, I dropped the quality so that I could rush them. And if you look at the bottom here, there's some very interesting topography, but that's on the base itself, so that can be hidden away. And I got a slightly tilted one, so there was, for every version there was always a tilted version of it, which I really like. And again, it'll be nice to kind of have them looking smooth and nice, but it doesn't really matter that much. This one here has also some like support stuff that you can't be removed from the back here. It can, but it was a poor print. I got better at it, and I also printed more and more bigger things as well, because, you know, why not, right? So here is a larger one. To compare it to the size of this one, you can see that it's enormous. I think it's actually basically the same print, just cut off at a certain point. So yeah, there's that to be said. This is a slightly better version, although there's still some artifacting in here as well. So yeah, I rushed them because there's a lot of detail to them, and they take a very, very long time. So I thought if I could just rush a few of these out, maybe I can hide a lot of the weird patterns and artifacting just through some like handy paintwork, or, you know, you can get a resin from Benham or Bentley's. Bentley's Benham, where you kind of brush it on and it just fills in the recesses. But those sorts of products are expensive and mucky. So yeah, do you use them? Do you not? It's player's choice really. And here's a couple of other ones that I also printed of the same design. This one here is a much cleaner print, but it started to put a lot of fill into lots of the little dents. So on here it's easy to see because of the white. It's got these little pockets or little holes, little, you know, pimples if you want to call them that, and it starts to fill them with support structure when it was trying to support everything else underneath it, and it's really difficult to get out. So yeah, it's kind of ruins the appearance of it. And here's another one where you can see I really struggled to get that support material out of it. I have learned how to avoid that. Basically, I just don't put the supports in. So it's just an interesting thing to look at to see how FDM printer prints. I would like to get a resin printer. It's going to be very expensive. Not to actually buy the printer, they're actually very affordable now, but the actual resin itself can be very costly. It's also toxic, which isn't great, but it will give me flawless results if I get the thing dialed in very, you know, perfectly. So I've got these ones here. It doesn't stop there. Those aren't the biggest ones. They're actually sort of bottom of the middle. This is one of the bigger ones, although it isn't the biggest. It is the biggest that I've printed. Here is the better quality one. So this is a real fat off daddy one. Here's the other size behind it, and here's the little ones here. You can see the size of this beast. It is the size of a Carnifex at the bottom. It is enormous. What I particularly like about it is it's got this sort of hole thing here where maybe it's kind of venting gases or whatever. It's absolutely huge. It's enormous. It has some really bizarre sort of textures to it that are deliberately sculpted into it to make it look very irregular and unnatural. I love it. I think it's wonderful. Here's another one that I printed that didn't go so well, so it started to fill in some of these little pits and things all over it. And down here in that sort of irregular pattern zone, you can see that it was a nightmare to do. So yeah, the thing is with this one is it took about 18 hours to print, and that is by cheating and keeping it as simple and as fast as I could. My printer is in my room. I use a material that is non-toxic, so it's absolutely fine, but it just makes a lot of noise, and it kept me and my partner up all the way through the night. But the printer lied to me. It said, oh no, we'll have that done in just a few hours, and then as the printer went on, it just added more and more time to it, and I'm like, oh my god, I will never do this again. However,
what slicing software are you using?
I'm using Cura because I have an Ultimaker, and Ultimaker's its own brand slicer software is Cura. I have thought about changing to a different slicing software just to see what difference it makes, but my printer is broken at the moment. I don't know if I'm going to print any more of this sort of stuff with my FDM printer. There are other things that it's better for printing. Biological stuff like this isn't really all that great. Certainly stuff in miniatures, FDM printing is not the best. But I've got some things that I can work with. I would love to get a resin printer. It might be sort of a birthday present to myself later on in the year. I turn 40, so I might buy myself one. And then printing this sort of stuff is wonderful. With a resin printer. So yeah, this is just some of the stuff that I wanted to talk about last week, and I know I didn't talk about them because I watched the show back earlier, and I'm like, oh, I didn't talk about that. Also, I had to go and dig these out, so I know that I didn't pour them out last time. So yeah, this is a lot of the stuff that I can do when we come to do like terrain and things. I don't really want to use these. I might just scrap these because they're in very poor condition, like all these supports down here. There's no way I'm going to get all of this out. So
if you want, send them my way, because I've somehow managed to get a really good way on getting rid of support structure.
Okay, please do tell me.
Using level working tools.
Okay, fantastic.
Like oars and all that stuff. Just like slowly chipping away, but
yeah,
I can get rid of like pretty large sections in a couple seconds just by sort of having a lever in the centre of it.
I've been trying various methods, like pliers and prizing things and bendy things and whatever. I just think that the settings that I've built to have that sort of adhesion between the object itself and the support structure was just too big. So you're actually fusing the two. So yeah, when you're starting to pull it away, you start destroying it. Yeah, but if you like, I will put them in a box and I'll send them your way, because why not, right?
Yeah, it's either maybe get use out of them or bin them. So
yeah, no, absolutely. I quite like my little webway gates. I like these, so I'll hold on to these ones. But if you like those ones there, I'll send them over to you, whichever ones I'm not going to use, and then you can do with them as you please, and perhaps we'll highlight it out on a show one evening somewhere. That'll be fun. Yeah, okay, cool. That's it, really, from me. I'm just having a little look through, making sure that we haven't missed any of the comments. We haven't. That's wonderful. It's been... Oh, here we go. Mike says, just drill, carve out the artifacts and paint it up as decayed, rotten pieces from a long dead one. Yeah, you're right, I could. I was looking a little while ago at getting a little mini drill, like a Dremel. The problem is when I go looking for something like that, I go and look at all the different models that you can get, all the different brands you can get, and then I realise I spent a fortnight spending all that time looking at different models or brands and things. I have settled on Proxon, which is a German brand. They obviously Germany makes some wonderful, high caliber machinery, some of the best stuff. My airbrush is from Harder and Steenbeck, which is a German-made thing as well. It's not that I prefer to buy German, it just happens the stuff that I do buy is German, and I know that their stuff is very, very good, machinery-wise. So I have like a little mini sander, which has like a sanding head about the size of a large paintbrush. That's Proxon, and it has the adapter, so if I was to get a Proxon mini drill, then I have the adapter for it, which is quite good. Dremel is good. And has some very affordable components for it. Proxon is expensive, but I know that the quality is going to be high. It's just £60 for a little drill. I need to make sure that I justify that expenditure, that cost. Am I going to use it enough to warrant doing it? At the moment, because I'm not doing a lot with terrain, no. So I've held off from purchasing it, but it is saved on my favourites at the moment. So yeah. Jeff says, I've got a drill that you can have. Yes, you do. I just, during the pandemic, wasn't really able to come and get it, was I? So yeah, okay. Well, that's something that I can play with. I'll keep one, and I'll have a practice with it, and I'll send the rest to you in a jiffy bag, and you can have them. Yeah. And then when my printer is up and running again, I will start printing some more appropriate stuff with it. Tools I've discovered are very good to print with an FDM printer, and then as and when the cost is appropriate for me. Basically, I need to have a room for the resin printer because that stuff is toxic. So I need to make sure that I put it in an appropriate area. Maybe someone I'm thinking of with a workshop, Dad, just saying, that maybe is a space where I can put it in your attic, in your workshop. Yeah. Anyway, that's everything that I wanted to talk about today. If you have any ideas on what you'd like me to be painting from the next show onwards, for a while, then put them in the comment section to this video, or send me a message, or talk to me on Facebook, or come and see me over on Discord. I'm going to be on Discord for a little while after this show now, and I am on Discord periodically throughout the week. Sometimes I'll let you know if I'm on through Facebook. Other times, just see if I'm on and come online and have a little look. I'd love to know what you want me to paint, because obviously I'm aware that even though I'm painting my own projects, it's interesting to see different things every week. So if you'd like to see me painting a bigger build tank, then I'll do that one. If you want to see me paint other things from Games Workshop or something completely different, let me know what you want me to do, or give me some suggestions, and I'll have a flick through everything that you've got. Excuse me. Mike says Dremel to a pillar drill adapter on Amazon for the Dremel as well, which would be handy. Yeah. There's Dremel. Dremel are a really good brand of mini drill to buy. I just, when you get zoned in on one particular brand like Proxon and you don't want to leave it behind. That's where I am at the moment, and one of the reasons why I haven't gone and bought it is: do I buy a Dremel or do I buy Proxon? I don't know. I think I'm just being a little bit OCD about it. I don't know. I don't know. I do. I get a bit zoned in. Anyway, is there anything else that you wanted to say before we go, Luke?
Not really. Apart from soon, I will be doing a venture into non-Games Workshop mini painting.
Wonderful. Mostly
from 2 Kickstarters. One called Cat Knights, where cats are knights. I think it's 34mm scale.
Okay.
And another one called the Shade Collection, which I think I talked about in some of the earlier episodes.
Okay, I'm fascinated. Because one of the projects that I wanted to move into, not right away, but very soon, is going into not doing a tutorial, but actually going through the stages of learning live on how to paint flesh tones, because it's something that I suck at and I would like to be very good at. And this is where we will talk about the 5-minute tutorials, weren't we, earlier on, and also Kyle wants to learn how to do it as well. I understand there's probably a lot of people out there in the community that want to learn how to do flesh tones. It's not something that I'm going to go straight into next week, but I would like to buy like a large model, say 54mm, or maybe just a bust or a head where it's just got a nice model with some sort of flesh tones to explore, and just have a really good study into painting flesh tones with all different colours, purples, blues and reds and things, and yellows and ivories with all the flesh tones to go with. I think would be a marvellous feature for this show. So yeah, I'm going to head on over to Discord after this show, and perhaps we can continue that conversation if anybody else is interested, and we can talk about it more over there. In the meantime, I've been Danny.
I've been Luke.
I can never point in the right direction, so I pointed both sides this time. Yeah, he's been Luke, I've been Danny. You've been absolutely fantastic. Thanks for coming along. Stay safe, stay kind, keep on painting, and we will see you next week. See you soon. Bye-bye. Or on Discord. Cheers for now.
See ya.
Not a bad show at all, mate. Thanks for coming along.
Thanks for having me.
No troubles at all.